Hi there. So I'm going to show you very quickly how to use layering when mark making a drawing. Layering is very, very important when you're trying to add texture and depth to your work. What I would like you to do, please, is pay attention to the table that is on your desk. It's this table here on your laminate. There are 3 columns: HB pencil, 2B pencil and 4B pencil. You're going to start with HB pencil. The first stage is to shade. So we are going to shade in the clumps of tonal shading. So you're looking here where you can see it's a bit lighter. There's a big dark bit in the middle and it's a bit lighter around the edge. You're not worrying about the direction of the fur. You're not worrying about the individual strands. You are just shading. You notice how quickly I do it. It doesn't need to be absolutely perfect. So I'm kind of scribble shading here a little bit. And as I move up, it gets a little bit lighter, so I'm just taking the pressure off my pencil by loosening the grip on my pencil. And it gets a little bit darker here, so I'm going to press on a bit harder there, a little bit lighter. And it's very, very light there. And right as we go into this top hand corner, it is very, very light. Okay, so it's a bit of scribble shading. That's my first step, shading. Second step is blending. Get your blending stump, which is compressed paper, and you're just going to blend all of those marks in together. Your marks don't need to be absolutely perfectly smooth when shading, because you're drawing fur, which is very textured anyway. Okay. So we use the blending stump to blend all of that pencil together. Don't worry if some of it's gone a bit too darker than you would like. Okay. We've shaded, we've blended, we're now going to rub out with a soft rubber. This is your soft rubber. You can tell that it's soft because when you rub out, it creates a fine dust. And all we're going to do now is we're going to start putting in some of the lines to create a direction of the fur. Remember, you're just having a bit of an experiment here. You're not trying to recreate the fur absolutely perfectly. We'll do that later on. Okay, so we're just going to put in some lines. Don't worry about if your pencil rubber doesn't rub out too much. We've got mechanical rubber for that later on. Okay. Remember, where it's a bit darker, you're going to press on a little bit lighter with your rubber. Where it's lighter, you can press on a little bit harder. You then get your paintbrush and you're going to brush off all of your rubber dust. Don't use your hand because it's got oils on it, so it smudges it. And don't blow because it creates a fine mist over your paper. Your next step is your 2B pencil. Okay, so we'll grab the 2B pencil and we'll start to put in some of the small darker sections. Okay, and we can work quite quickly following the darker shades that I haven't rubbed out with the rubber. Okay, moving very, very quickly. I'm not pressing on too hard either at this point. I'm not looking for trying to make my lines very, very dark or my marks very, very dark, because the 4B pencil will do that in a second. Okay, so where it's a bit darker, you can make your lines a little bit closer together. You can add a little bit more definition here by drawing more than the lines and maybe looking for the geometric shapes within the fur. Remember, we're only doing the darker shades here. 2B pencil, shading, done. Now we've got to blend it again. With each layer, you're doing less and less. So when you're blending, you're not blending completely and maybe not pressing on as hard. We want to see some definition in those lines because it's the definition of the fur that we're looking for. Done my blending. Now the next step is rub out with the soft rubber. So we're going to redefine some of those lines that we might have lost. Again, remember, each layer you're doing less and less. Rub out with the paintbrush. You can use makeup brush for this as well. And our final stage is the 4B pencil, which is your red pencil. This is where you can slow down a little bit and you can start to put in some of those darker shades, starting to put in some more direction of that fur. Going over those lines, and you're only putting in the darkest bits. You can start to put in some extra lines if you choose to, just to create that definition of the fur. Okay, and once you've put in all the lines that you think you need for that fur, We then get the blending stump again, and we're going to blend it. We're not blending and pressing on too hard. We want to see that definition of the line even more than we did with the 2B pencil. And finally, we use our mechanical rubber to rub out. That's our last stage. Mechanical rubber is a harder rubber, so you'll notice when you rub out, it does create a fine dust. However, it's more of a roll. It sticks to the end of the rubber. And this is absolutely wonderful to create that last and final direction of the fur. Because it's a harder rubber, it takes out more of your graphite. So it's the last stage that we do. And that is how to layer very, very quickly with a HB pencil, 2B pencil and a 4B pencil. Have a go yourself now. Have a go at messing around and experimenting with these materials. And then we will move on to the main task.